Hey, I think we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone who's come along to the live. Today we have a special guest all the way from Colorado Springs in Colorado in the United States of America, aka the Profit Queen. So please welcome everybody, Heather Langdon.
Thank you so much, Scotty. Thank you for having me on. I am really excited to be here with you.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Now, and number one in system 1357 is people, right? People first. And that's
Yes.
customers, it's you, it's all those sorts of things. So it fits in perfect with the system. Okay. So one, people first, people over everything. So today we're going to discuss customer service versus customer satisfaction. So this is going to be really cool, right? But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. You've had 15 years. Well, you can explain it.
Yes. So I owned and operated a general contracting company during for 15 years, like you said. During the recession from 2008 to 2012, I was able to increase the revenue by 700%. The way that I was able to do that was with a business coach helping me. And so at that point, I decided that that was what I wanted to do one day. And here I am. I've helped a couple of other people run their businesses prior to opening my business coaching. And I got to the point where I realized that I could help more people if I could coach from the outside rather than working on the inside. So I opened my company in 2018. I focus on construction trades, people in the construction trades that own a business. Because I've done that for so long and I've been in every little place of it, then it makes it easy for me to know where things are possibly missing or can be improved. It's really easy for me to see that. So that's what I do.
That's awesome. So there was 3 topics for today, or 3 take-homes for everyone that's here. And what are they?
Well, the first one is the steps of customer service. The second one is exceeding expectations versus meeting expectations. And the third one is customer loyalty. And that's where we all want to be, is at that customer loyalty step. So the first thing to point out is that customer service and customer satisfaction are 2 different things. Customer service is the cause. Customer satisfaction is the effect. So depending on how that customer service is, it can lead to customer satisfaction. One thing about it too is that makes it very difficult is that customer service, good customer service, is different for each person in their own mind. So it's a real challenge sometimes to figure out how to meet people where they're at. And customer service is all about guiding the customer through their purchase in a way that they feel satisfied at the end.
Yep. So I like the fact you said the 2.
Mm-hmm.
What was the 2 things again? The 2 sides?
I'm sorry?
You said the 2. So the difference was?
Oh, the difference. So customer service versus customer satisfaction.
Yep.
One is a cause.
That's
the
it.
Customer service is a cause.
Yep.
Customer satisfaction is an effect. So depending on how this customer service is, that affects how customer satisfaction comes out of it all.
Boom. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are several steps that you can follow to, I don't want to say guarantee, but to give you a possibility of customer satisfaction. There are steps that you can follow to give good customer service. So the first thing that you need to do is when people walk in, and this is assuming that you have a storefront, when people walk in, acknowledge them. When people call in, if you talk to people on the phone first thing, acknowledge them. Make sure that you're greeting them with something that helps them feel like you're there to help. You want to develop a rapport with them. If you are in person with them, you can see something about maybe how they're dressed. You can compliment something that they're wearing. You can talk to them. Sometimes you can tell what somebody likes. For example, if they have a bag with their dog on it or their grandkids on it or something like that. Anything that you can think of to develop a rapport that creates trust with the customer. When you're on the phone, you can do that simply by asking, what's the weather? How are you doing today? What are you up to? Things like that show that you're interested in them as a person. The next thing that you need to do is identify what are their needs. And that can be tough because sometimes they don't even know their needs. And so you have to get good at reading people in order to give good customer service. And you have to get really good at asking questions and hearing the answers, listening. Once you ask the right questions, you can find out what somebody's looking for, even if they don't know what they're looking for. So questions like, well, what brought you in here today would tell you whether they know or don't know. If they don't know what they're looking for, you can ask them questions like, well, what are you thinking about using it for? Or where are you planning to go to wear this dress that you want? Or, what kind of a party is it? That kind of thing. So you can ask questions and just listen very carefully, and that really makes a difference for customer service. The next thing that you need to do is provide a solution. So when they have shared with you what their need is, you should have a solution prepared to share with them. And if everything goes well, the sale will go through. And even if there isn't a sale, step 5 is to express gratitude, to allow you to be able to serve the customer. So it's saying to the customer, thank you for coming in today. We really appreciate your business. Or thanks for calling in. I loved talking to you and I hope you have a great day. Things like that. Something that just lets them know that you're grateful that they're there. So those are the basic steps of having good customer service. Yeah.
Totally agree. It's like, so you've got 5 steps there, and I've even broke down simpler where there's only 3. There's an introduction, there's your presentation, your close. So your acknowledgement, build a rapport if you like, look at the needs and the solutions, and then gratitude. It's amazing how many people don't get that. It's like you go into a shop and you order something, and when you leave, you say thank you and they don't. And you think, well, actually, it should be the other way around. They should be really appreciating me. And it's a habit that's come up everywhere where people don't give that gratitude, as you call it. They don't close the deal. They don't actually say thank you in some way, shape, or form. I appreciate your business. It's a simple thing.
And it can be a huge difference, because if somebody feels that you are appreciative of them coming in, especially if you're a small business, your price may be higher than a big business may be able to sell something for. But if you are appealing to your customer and you know your customer and you're giving them good customer service, thanking them for coming in will bring them back as well. And sometimes, well, I shouldn't even say sometimes, a lot of the times, customer experience overrides a price difference. It's all about how they feel after they buy with you.
Yeah, exactly. I went into a business the other day, and it was busy. I get it was busy, but there was 3 people behind the desk, and I walked in, and I think one was on the phone, the other 2 were on the computer doing some things. And I'm standing there thinking, well, eventually someone's going to acknowledge me, right? Even if it's, I won't be long. 3 of them. They had 3 and they're doing customer service.
Wow.
And not one of them said, won't be, even just a body language, I'm on the phone. Anything. I acknowledge you, you're next. They didn't even need to say anything. Didn't need to interrupt the phone call, just as simple, we got you, won't be long. And it's crazy that the introduction is almost a forgotten skill. Why have we forgotten all these things that were around in the old days, if you like?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how things have changed. When I ran my construction company, I always used to say we had old-fashioned customer service, and people would laugh about it, but it's true. Customer service, good customer service, a lot of it seems to be from a while ago, and that currently we're having trouble getting good customer service in places. And how many times have you been to a place where maybe not only do they not acknowledge you, maybe they're grumpy with you? And it makes a huge difference not only on that visit, it makes a huge difference on the brand, it makes a huge difference on your word of mouth marketing. It just makes a big difference.
Yeah, like you've got here, the solution. You solve someone's problem, well, then you can do business, right? So you need to find the solution. And the way you said that was exactly right. For some businesses, you feel more like their problem rather than them solving your problem. It's like, man, not
Absolutely.
another customer. Do I really have to serve someone again today? And that
Right.
might be good when business is booming. You know, when business is booming and business is going great, I get it that it's, oh man, another person. I'm still struggling to supply or keep up with the other customers.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
understand that mentality when things are good. But you know, the problem with that is that habit is what you'll take as the cycle goes around. It's that
Yes.
habit that you're taking into the next cycle, which is poor customer service, if you like, poor customer
Yes.
satisfaction. And when you're going to need to do it, it's too late. You lost some of those people along the way.
Mhm.
See, customer
Absolutely.
service, sometimes it's just saying, look, we're busy. We can't fulfill it right now. You know, it's a 2 week or 1 week or a 6 month wait, whatever that is. Sometimes that's the customer satisfaction. Even if you can't deliver it, you at least have to satisfy them.
So that actually leads to our next topic, which is meeting expectations versus exceeding expectations. So, one of the things that's really important to keep in mind about expectations in general is if you are able to adequately set up an expectation in a way that a customer understands, then you can very easily fulfill that expectation and meet whatever they feel that you and meet what their intended outcome is basically. So um, why would you exceed expectations? Why would you do that? So if you meet expectations, then I mean really you're doing good enough, and you're giving the customer what they want. You can have good customer satisfaction with meeting expectations, absolutely. If you exceed their expectations and go above and beyond, and it doesn't have to be huge, it can be something small, and I'll give you a couple of examples in a second. But if you go above what they're expecting and you give them a little bit more, something more than what they were expecting, they become loyal customers almost for life. And it's just a small little thing. For example, you tell somebody that their computer is going to be ready in 3 days and you have it ready in two. And they're so excited to hear from you after the second day. Wow, really? That's awesome. That's great. Or when you give an estimate for something and you're not sure how much it's going to be, you could give a good range, and they're potentially expecting the top of the range as the possible price, and maybe you come in at the bottom of the range. That's something that exceeds their expectations. When I owned my construction company, we would bring a bouquet of flowers every single job to the very first day and tell them thank you for welcoming us into their home to do work on their home. That exceeded their expectations. So anything that a customer isn't, it's almost like a surprise for them. And so it comes to the question of how do you exceed expectations? So I gave you some examples, but basically, you need to, well, I shouldn't say you need to. It's good if it's a surprise of some type. If it's not, obviously, if they're expecting it, it's not exceeding that expectation. So it's good if it's a surprise type of a situation. Um, One thing that's important to point out is make sure that they know that you've given them this extra. And you don't have to do it in a way that they feel super obligated. But if you don't let them know, sometimes they don't realize that you've given them something extra. Um, Perfect example, when I was in the remodeling company, we would write down, if we did anything for quote unquote free, we would write it down and then do a credit for that amount to show them what we had given them for free, because they don't understand otherwise. They don't know. They think that something that we did might have taken 5 minutes, so it should be $5. And it might have actually taken an hour and cost $200. So something that you really need to make sure of is that your customer knows that you're going above and beyond, because otherwise you're not over delivering. Another thing that you could do is not over promise, because when you, like I said, with the computer, having it done and telling somebody you're going to have it done in 3 days, then when you have it done in 2, they're happy. Well, going the other direction, if it's done in 4 days, they're really upset. So your best bet then, if you think it might take 4 days, is to say 4 days. It's always better to be honest up front and not overcommit. Another thing that really helps to exceed expectations is being responsive to the customer. just being responsive, making sure that if they call you, if they email you, if they text you, that they get a reasonable amount of, they get a reply within a reasonable amount of time, and putting yourself in that customer's shoes and what they might want, and just making sure to be accessible to them. And the last thing that I have as an example of how to exceed customer expectations is to make it personal in some way. Now, we all know that business is business and it's not personal, but you want your customer not to feel like a dollar sign. You want them to feel like they're important as a person to you. And so if you talk to them and get to know them a little bit and show interest in them, you'd be surprised how much of a rapport you can create, which then again creates the loyalty. So those are some ways that you can exceed customer expectations almost every single time.
Yeah, and like people, they say, it's business and people, blah blah blah. What you said before, but without people, there's no sales, there's no customers. And if
Right,
there's no
right.
sales and there's no customers, there's no profit. And if there's no
Exactly.
profit, well,
Then why are you
there's
doing
no
it?
business, is there? There's no business.
Yeah.
So you've got to have people that are happy to create sales and customers to get profit, so business survives. And you can do a lot
Yes.
more with a profitable business than you can a non-profitable business. So
Hmm.
everything you said was right. We actually had on the wall at Renet in the kitchen, and almost exactly what you said. I had a bunch of cards up, and one of them was under promise, over deliver.
Hmm.
But the reality was we didn't have to over deliver on anything special. Even just managing their expectations was over delivering for most people. Said
Yes.
4 days, we can't do it, but we ring them and tell them. We communicate. Hey, listen, we couldn't do it. We found a bug. Something's come up. You know what I mean? And we have
Yep.
to communicate is over delivering. Now that
Absolutely.
instead of them ringing us, going, well, what's happening? No, we ring
Right.
them. We under
Yes.
promise, over deliver, and it can be that simple for delivery. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
giving something for nothing. It doesn't have to be
Right.
on price. It can be exactly what you're talking about today, which is customer service.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And when you give customer service, it creates loyalty. I have a quote that I'm going to read from a paper because I don't want to mess it up. A product you buy may function, but the experience of buying it will shape the decision where to purchase it next time.
Say that again.
Yes, a
That's good.
product you buy may function, but the experience of buying it will shape the decision of where you purchase next time.
Yeah, love it. Love it. That is just,
Yeah, I loved that. I thought that that summarizes everything. So there is also such a thing as customer experience. And in technical terms, what that means is from the time that you first talk to that customer until the time that they are buying your product and the sale is done, that's the customer experience. And so if you set up if you set something up as a ideal customer service situation, and I don't know that I'm explaining that right, but you set it up so that you are giving ideal customer service. You pass this on to your employees. As long as you are following that, you have a real possibility of customer satisfaction as well.
yeah, yeah,
So unless you have a system put into place to ensure good customer service, then you don't even have the possibility of customer satisfaction unless, I suppose, if somebody's just in there to go in, buy it, and get out. But once you put that
But in saying that,
part
though,
into
I totally agree with you there. And when it comes to a system, I mean, whether it's a transaction like a $4.50 coffee, for example, it's a
Mhm.
transactional sale. That's okay. There's still a transaction that goes on.
Mhm.
So whether it's $4.50 or $4,500 or $450,000, it's still really important. It's just how long it lasts, how long it takes.
Exactly.
The simple hi, deliver the service, thank you.
Yep. Yep. That's perfect.
There's a
And
comment
so
here that was put up for you.
yes. Mhm.
Really good from Felix.
Yes.
Really
Thank you
good
for that
comment.
comment, Felix.
Great to see you
That's
there, Felix,
wonderful.
too. That is
Yeah.
exactly right. So I'm not sure if he's got the dots or whether that's all that could fit on there. But yeah, that's excellent. Well said.
Yeah, for sure. And Benita says, love your crown. Thank you, Benita. I appreciate it. I see Terry says, be brilliant on the basics and customers will tolerate everything else.
Yeah.
I agree with that for sure.
Well, tolerant, I like that word, but at the same time, I think you can manage everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
You can manage that expectation. You can take them on a journey of expectation with everything else, more so than tolerate. So
Yeah.
if something goes wrong. I mean, something goes wrong in everyone's business from time to time. So if you're in
Yes.
business, you appreciate other people that are in business. And when something's not going right, and you ring up and say, listen, there's something going wrong. We can't deliver on time. It's okay.
Right.
I'll give you a little funny story here. I had a conversation with someone, and a friend of his was a builder. And one day he was running late. So he rang them up and said, look, I'm running late. And they said, yeah, no. So he turned up his 15 minutes late or whatever it was. And he won the business. And he thought it was because of the way they appreciated him communicating and everything else, instead of just turning up late like most people would, which was great, except he got the right lesson, but took it in the wrong way. So his execution was wrong. Because what he started doing after then was always turning up late and ringing them up saying, I'm late. I've gone, well, he
no.
understood the communication part, so he got that down pat, but the deliberate turning up late all the time probably isn't really that good.
No, probably not. But
So he would have been
that's
better off ringing him up saying, hey, listen, I'm 15 minutes early. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to be on
Exactly.
time. Are you still good? Ringing them up, communicate. You can't over
Absolutely.
communicate. Well, maybe you can, but the point is you really can't. And then that's what keeps customers satisfied, and that's customer service. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But that was really good, Terry. Totally agree with you there as well. So, yeah. So keep going. Didn't mean to interrupt, but everything you're
Oh, no
seeing now is
worries.
just perfect.
No worries. So I was just going to say, it was actually perfect timing because I was just going to say, how can you create customer loyalty? That was the question that I was going to ask. So you can there are a bunch of different things. The sky's the limit. Your imagination is the limit. But here are a few examples. If you have repeat customers, you can give them a discount. You can give them loyalty points. You can give them access to new products before other people get access to those products. There are a lot of things that you can do. The other thing, in order to create loyalty, again, you have to treat people as people, not as a dollar sign. You can't treat them as your next transaction. The thing is, they're going to give you a ton more transactions if you develop a rapport and a relationship with them, or you can just sell it once right now. So it depends on what you want in the long term. And you may not even sell it once right now because of the way that you're treating somebody. And then looking at the whole customer experience, seeing what areas you can go above and beyond. And like you said, even sometimes it's just meeting the expectations is not typical of whatever that field is, whatever that industry is. I'm thinking of the cable guy. He gives you a 4-hour window. Sometimes they don't show up during that window, but you don't get a call ahead of time. Wouldn't it be nice if you could? So things like that, the whole customer experience, looking at everything and determining how you can best meet what your responsibilities are in that situation. And again, go a little bit above and beyond to show them that you value them as a customer. When customer service is good, people talk. And let me rephrase that. When customer service is above average, people talk. Because when it's average, it doesn't stick out and there's nothing special about it. If you say that that you have good customer service, what does that actually mean? You have to sit down and break it down and figure out how you want your customer's experience to be. And then you can put things into place to do as much as you can to ensure that they follow that path.
Yeah, that's excellent. And hearing what you're saying, it's obviously I can relate to it a lot. It's almost like some of that is from parts of the book, the 5 systems.
Yes, I
I
love
talk
your
about some
book.
of exactly what you're talking about in the book.
Yep.
Why? Because it works. It 100% works. And what you
Absolutely.
spoke about before with that word system is obviously singing to my ears. But whether you call it, I don't mind if you use mine or create your own or use Heather's. But every business needs that system, that habit, that process, that blueprint. What is it you're doing to take customers on a journey to retain them, and I guess get maximum return out of that journey? You know, the worst
Yeah.
thing you can get in business, I'll typically talk about sales and customers. The worst thing you can get in business isn't the no, it's that I spent my money elsewhere.
Mhm.
I did want your services, but I just gave it to some other person. Why? Because I just didn't feel like they were gonna get it from you, and that's the worst thing that can happen in business. So if not
Yes.
you, well, then why not? Why not you?
Mhm.
So, and it just comes down to some of these things you're talking about, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more. Um, Actually, have you finished? Have you finished on the three?
Yes, I have. Those are the main three topics, just the steps of customer service in order to get good customer service, and then how to exceed expectations versus just meeting expectations, and then how do you cultivate loyalty in your customers. And the whole point in all of it is cheaper to maintain a customer than it is to get a new one. And I could go through all the details, but just trust me. It's cheaper to maintain your customers and keep them happy, and you get much better word of mouth out of that as well. And so, getting new customers, you have to develop that rapport. You already have that with your existing customers. Do what you can to keep them and bring them back time and again.
Yeah. So true. But tell me, obviously it wasn't always easy. You know, there was
Right.
times when things didn't go right. So even the people with the best systems in the world,
Mhm.
systems give you something to depend upon and rely upon or be able to teach. But what happens when things don't go right and customers aren't meeting expectations? How do you business judo that? And how do you flip that situation? How do you turn a negative into a positive? Or better still, turn that disadvantage into an advantage? What do you do?
Okay, so if somebody has basically is disgruntled in some way, shape, or form, first of all, you have to listen. You have to ask questions and listen again, because if you don't understand the problem and you try and fix the wrong problem, you're just going to make them even more frustrated. So the first thing is figure out what's really going on by asking questions and listen. The second thing I would do is rephrase it and restate it and make sure that I understand the problem extremely clearly. Um, Anytime throughout this entire process, if I didn't know what the answer was, I would be honest about it, because there's nothing like giving somebody a load of BS and then them coming back and finding out, and now they're even more and more disgruntled. So people aren't looking for answers right away all the time. They want the right answers.
Yeah.
But so after you have identified the problem, you've read it, well, set it back so that you make sure that you really understand it. Then you address the actual issue. And it may be, you can actually ask people, what is it that would help you to feel satisfied in this situation? Would you like a refund? Would you like a discount on your next, purchase? Would you give them a couple of options? Um, Whenever somebody's upset, if you come at it on the opposition, they will just flare up and keep pushing and pushing. It's nature, it's human nature for us to push against those that push against us. But if you come at a problem that somebody has and you come onto their side and you say, hey, no problem, we're going to take care of this for you. How can we help? How can we make this right? Chances are it's going to take the wind right out of their sail, and they're going to go, oh, okay, well, I guess if you did this, then that would make a difference for me and that would make me happy.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the path that I would take. Um,
Nine
I
times
think
out of
that,
10, it's just a miscommunication of some sort, a mishit on
yes.
the expectation, and
Hmm.
it's normally quite easily to resolve that by just communicating again. Start from where
Hmm.
you were again. Let's start from the beginning. You know, what were
Yeah.
our expectations? My words now, not necessarily the words you'd use, but what were all
Hmm.
the expectations? Let's get it back again. Where were we? And what was that little thing? And that one little thing, you might have done 99 things right, and that one little thing was annoying that customer. Okay, so we've done the
Hmm.
99 things. We're happy? Yeah, we're happy. Let's just solve this one thing and we move on.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
obviously, once again, if it's a cup of coffee, It's probably a little bit more transactional, probably not as long a journey as opposed
Right.
to, say, doing a house or, major construction or buying a car or,
Yeah.
something that's got a lot more dollars in it.
Mhm.
But, it's just a miscommunication or misfire on expectations in the middle. And it's, especially if the customer journey is long,
Mhm.
it can happen. It's normal for that to happen. And it's up
It
to
is
us, I
normal.
guess,
Yes.
as the business owner or business leader or the person that's in control or managing that client expectation and journey to
Yes.
actually do that. That's what we get paid for.
I agree completely. And I think if there is an issue that comes up and you're able to successfully solve it with them, the way that you approach it can bring them back as loyal customers even.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So when I
it
sold
both.
insurance for 10 years,
Mhm.
I mean, obviously we had to go and renew people's policies. But sometimes we got there and they weren't happy. They'd had a claim and something had gone wrong, or, oh man, it was so hard. So, but we didn't want to lose their business either. So not
Mhm.
only did we have to try and deal with the bad claim, we had to try and renew the policy, or better still, upgrade the policy so they got the cover they really needed. But to do that, it could sometimes take half an hour or an hour of just them telling us all the problems, and they just let it all off their chest. But once they let it all off the chest, okay, now we know where we are.
Yep.
You said your bit. Now let's come up with some solutions. Let's solve it. And 9 times out of 10, I've got to be honest with you, you could.
Mhm.
If you'd let them say everything, you could actually solve it and move on. Because, it's really about, okay, well, we are where we are. We still want to retain the business unless you make a decision you don't. But, some customers aren't worth retaining. But let's just
Right.
leave that 10% out. 90%
Yes.
of customers are worth retaining. So you start building up that expectation, loyalty, as you call it, for the future. In fact, if you do that really well, they become way more loyal
Yes.
than they were before. They feel like they're a part of it, part of the solution. It makes a big difference, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Getting customer input to things is huge.
Yeah. Um, so just start at the top one again. So I like that first 5 you had.
Oh,
Acknowledge
the
your
first five.
core needs, solutions, and
Yep.
gratitude. Mainly because I
Mhm.
think it's a missing factor in so many businesses today. I
Mhm.
mean, it just really is a missing factor. I think people have forgotten that transaction and journey, whether it's small or large or medium, on that customer journey. So how to actually acknowledge, you gave a few ideas, and how to actually close the transaction.
Mhm.
So I'd really
Absolutely.
like to hear your thought on that.
On how to close?
Both the introduction, how to do
Oh,
it. Instead of walking to
okay.
that business the other day with 3 staff sitting there, well, how,
Mhm.
how do they do that nice introduction, even if they're busy? And how do they close it to keep customers wanting to come back? And
Okay.
I don't mind the word thank you, but I know there's better ways of doing it. So what's some of your
Yeah.
thoughts on it?
So when you're introducing yourself to somebody, I mean, eye contact, shaking hands sometimes. There's so much that you can do to acknowledge somebody as a person. Again, I go back to you can compliment something that they're wearing. You can talk to them about, if they're in the pet store, if you want a pet store, you can ask them about their pet. If they're in a clothing store, you can ask them what they're looking for and talk to them about the event that they're excited about going to. So there's a lot that you can do to acknowledge people. You mentioned, what if they're busy and they can't acknowledge you right away? How can they acknowledge you still? And I think if it were me and I was the boss, I would say you acknowledge people and it doesn't matter what you're in the middle of, even if, like you were saying earlier, hold up your finger, just a minute, we'll be right with you. Make eye
With a
contact.
smile,
Right. And make
not
eye contact. That's a big thing because if you don't make eye contact, you're not being acknowledged.
not like the school teacher, which is you're naughty. Just wait. It's
Right.
no, won't be long. I won't be
Right.
long. Yep, nice. Yep,
Exactly.
one
And
minute.
they can even say that. I actually was at a store today and they were helping me and somebody walked in and the first thing she did was look up and say, I'll be right with you. And it didn't bother me as a customer. I knew she was taking care of me, but she needs to let other people know that their turn is coming. I'm okay with that. As
Hey,
a customer, I think we're all okay with that.
sometimes I take control of that situation as a customer. I'm really just thinking, and I'll see person there who just wants a transaction. I'll go, look, you can serve that person. I'll just
Hmm.
keep looking.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so sometimes the person you're talking to, and we're thinking retail here, obviously, or some sort
Yeah,
of some sort of business where you walk into and you get served. It's
right.
the sort of example we're giving. But, sometimes people are happy to sit there and ponder and have a bit of a look around. So let them have that thinking time and do a transaction, satisfy both people at once. And other people aren't. Some people do want all the attention in the world, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So you still
Yes.
acknowledge the other person. They can see you're busy. They can see
Yes.
you're serving someone, and they probably want the same service when it's their turn.
Hmm.
So but it's okay. Just that little happy, positive, smiley. I won't be long. I'll just be a minute. Whether you say it verbally or physically or both, it's that
Yes,
acknowledgement.
absolutely.
So that
You know,
acknowledgement is essential.
it is. And you mentioned something that made me think of personality tests or personality profiles, I guess. So one of them that I use is called the DISC. I don't know if you've heard of it personally. I love it. To me, it's a very simple one. But the only reason I bring it up is because if you are familiar with how to read people in a way that can tell you how to acknowledge them, it's a huge win. So some people don't want attention, like you were saying. Some people would rather browse for a while. Some people don't want somebody to help them at all. They know what they want. They want in and out. Some people want direct attention 100% of the time that they're in there. And if you don't give the right kind, then to them, you have not given them good customer service, which ends up leading to no customer satisfaction in that situation. So it's interesting what you can do with personality profiling. If you just get the basic gist of it, you can apply it to so many different situations. And I think that just kind of jogged my thoughts on that.
I'm a DISC fan. I love DISC.
I love it.
Learning how to read people is really important in business. Whether you're
Mhm.
a business leader or you're in just a leadership and management position or you're in sales, at the end of the day, people, if there's no people in a business, there's no business. That's the same story, right? No people, no profits, no sales, no customers. Well, then there's no
Yep.
income and there's no business. So
Yep.
if you're in business or any sort of career development pathway, learning personality profiles is a foundation. I actually have a course in System 1357 based around DISC profiling. So there's probably better courses for DISC profiling, but I talk about in there, what to do now that you know this information. There's no wrong or
Right.
right personality.
Right.
We're just different. But more
Right.
importantly, what I've done with courses is I'm a big believer in there's personality, but there's also character and there's also behavior.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's the combination of the three that really matters, and your skill set to be able to manage those three. So
That
someone
is
might be
true.
normally a happy person, but today they're stressed, they're running late.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not really their character; it's just a behavior. Right now, I'm running late.
Right.
I just can I do the deal and go? I need this.
Right.
I'm out, gone. And other times I've got
Yeah.
all the time in the world.
Yep.
So
Yep.
understanding the differences and being able to quickly respond and react. So I agree. But let's get to the close of the transaction, and then we'll start to wrap
Yes.
up.
So
So I
the
also
close.
said you said the gratitude at the end, and I call it the close. So
Yes.
every transaction has a beginning, a middle, or a presentation. Where the
Mhm.
business gets done, and then the close. And I think
Yes.
that's really lacking. I think a lot of people get a good introduction, even though I think it could be improved. But I've got to be honest with you, I think people's close is terrible. I think it's
Yes.
a real weakness in business in general today.
It is. People don't understand. Well, first of all, people don't think to do it, but also people don't understand the best ways to do it to encourage people to come back. And that's part of the reason of the gratitude is, I mean, part of it is because you want to be grateful to the things that you have in life that are positive. And the more positive you can be about those things and the more grateful you can be, the more will come to you. That's my belief. But the other thing is, you're also trying to make sure that that client knows that you value them and that they're the reason that you're in business and that you'd love for them to come back and buy from you again. And um, I mean, I have done things such as, when you're ready to you talk to them and you find out that they are going to bring their dog in for a bath or something like that. And so you tell them, hey, when you're ready to bring the dog in for a bath, I'd love to say hi to you. And I appreciate you coming in today. Can't wait to see you next time. Something so simple. Have a
Yeah.
great day. Have a great day. Just something so simple can make such a big difference.
Yeah, it's totally true, right? See you next time. Talk
Right,
again. Stay
right,
in
right.
touch. All those
Yep.
simple things which are leading on to the next, not necessarily a
Yes.
close. You know,
And they make an assumption that you will come back.
which is why thank you is okay, but it doesn't really
Right.
deliver a journey. It's a
Yes.
close. Thank you. Okay. But thank you and see you next time.
Yeah.
You know, well, thank
Yep.
you. And when would you like to come back? You know,
Yes.
you've just had your car
Yes.
detailed from a detailer. What should he do at the end? When would you like your next time? Car detailed
Yes.
next time. It's a simple transactional flow or journey. Yeah.
Yes.
And then and you put in
Absolutely.
system, maybe a reminder so that way if they forget, you
Mhm.
not turning up and I was on holidays. Oh, okay. Well, you still need a system to manage that, but that's you.
Yes.
So but that customer journey is there, you know. So
Yes.
go
Yep.
into the coffee shop in the morning and the barista says, "Good morning." They start that off really well. If they're really good, "Good morning, Heather." They get to know
That's
you.
right.
Same
That's
coffee
right.
today, yes, and it's a bit jovial, and things take time for that. They've actually built
Yes.
up that. If you're repeating it, they've built up that journey. You know,
Hmm.
but
Yep.
some people get it and some don't. So
Yeah.
this is where coaching comes into it. You're 100% right. So it's not that anyone in business doesn't want to succeed in business, or anyone in their career doesn't want to grow and prosper in their career. But there's so many simple ways to do it. So what I found over this last few years since I exited from my company was that I thought everybody did it, even though I didn't always feel it. I just thought people chose not to do it. I didn't realize it was a knowledge thing. And it's actually a knowledge thing. And if you keep training and improving and training and improving, hey, that's how I got it in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't born with it. I got it through 10
Right.
years of being a commission only salesperson. If I
Hmm.
didn't do these things right, I didn't make any money.
Hmm.
I didn't get paid to be a salesperson. I got paid if I got a sale. And that
Right.
was where I learned that skill set. So when I started my own company, well, naturally it just followed suit. So yeah, customers are so important. Number one in system 1357 is customers. If you don't have them, you can't get any profit. You can't get anything
Nope.
else. It's so important. Um, Hi, Mary
Hi, Mary.
from United States. Another United States. I'm not sure where the others was from. I know Terry was, and Felix. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, good to see you there, Mary. But yeah, customer satisfaction is so important. And once again, in wrapping up, the three take homes are really good. I love the way you put it into bullet points and into the system that people could follow. But in wrapping up with the three, what would you like to close on today?
Um, my goodness. I guess that I would just say that, again, keep in mind that whatever your customer thinks is good customer service is going to bring them satisfaction. And it's different for every single customer. So it's an active thing to give customer service. It's not that you just present something. It's an active thing. It's a noun. So, and actually it's not a noun, but it should be a verb, that you're actively doing something. So I would say that that's probably the biggest takeaway that I have, is that you really have to learn to read people well in order to give them good customer service.
And I like to use the word intention. It's a very deliberate
Yes.
and intentional action. It doesn't just accidentally happen. Even if
Mhm.
you're naturally an extrovert, you might think you're naturally doing it, but it's still got to be deliberate action to take people through that journey, or else you're just smiling a lot and laughing a lot. There's still no good
Yes.
introduction or close. It's that skill set, that learning and knowledge, which is why it's great that you're here today to share that. It's awesome. So where can people learn a bit more about it? I mean, obviously on System 1357, I have a set of courses that people can go and learn and understand some of this. And what about your stuff? Where do they go for your stuff?
So my website is onpoint.coach, which is a interesting website address, but it's www.onpoint.coach. When you go on there, you can see the different services that I provide. You can see testimonials, of course, all the different things that are on there. And I do individual business coaching, group business coaching, and I do workshops.
Yeah, awesome. Well done. And just in Colorado Springs or?
No, I do things internationally.
Awesome.
If I can speak the language, well, I guess if they can speak my language.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I did a workshop yesterday with a bunch of MBA students
Mhm.
at the University of Newcastle, and they're all international. So it was actually an international bunch of students studying for their MBA, right? And they're on a what do you want to call it, like a tour, and meeting people and so on. And I was an entrepreneur facilitator for that. But they were all from international, so I had to be really careful. China and India and all sorts of places. I had to really talk slowly and clearly and precisely. They could understand me, but I had to really slow down so they could really hear. They could listen to everything I had to say. But the reality is, I was asked once, do all the things I did to start my business, do they still work today? And I go, well, actually, they work way better now than they ever have.
Uh-huh.
They work way better now than they ever have.
Yes.
So because I think some of those, you called it old school, I'll call it traditional. Those methods and those techniques worked then and they still work today. The only difference is today, with so much social media, people have forgotten how to do the traditional things that we all still expect.
Yes. The
And that's why
basics.
coaching is important, or training, or knowledge is really important. So well done for all the people that came along today. Got the little reminder from Heather. That's awesome news. And if you do want to find out any more, follow Heather, obviously LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of the other Instagrams, anything else, Twitter.
All
or is
three.
It all three, yeah.
I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram.
So you can follow more and learn more there. And obviously go to the website, which I'll put back up as we wrap up. Is it this one? Yeah, there it is there. So it's .coach at the end, so onpoint.coach. Well, listen, this has been excellent. So in closing, I don't have much else to say. Any one final tip and we'll wrap up.
Final tip. I would say that before you greet your customer, always put a smile on your face. Not because you want them to see your smile, but because your smile changes the way that you act. It changes your demeanor. It makes you more open, and it makes people feel more comfortable connecting with you.
Yeah, totally agree. And just as we close, we'll say, hi, Fanny. Great to see you online again from Dallas in Texas. So very good international coverage today, which has been excellent. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for coming. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on where you're from. And thanks so much for being here today, Heather, and thanks so much for sharing that skill set. I am going live again in 2 days' time with Ashley Terry, and we're talking about the business of thirds, which is this one here. And it is one of the systems in the 5 systems of successful people. So that's in 2 days' time. So keep an eye out for that.
That's a great system to learn about. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's actually, that system made me more money than any other system, because you'll have to tune in on in 2 days' time to actually understand why. But that system made me more money than any other system. Because it's a business system and people got it. Anyway, we'll talk more about it. So
excellent.
All right, we'll wrap up, hey? So thanks heaps, everyone, for coming. We'll end the live stream and strive for healthy, wealthy, and wise. And we'll talk soon. See ya.